The opening round of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Porsche Club Championship about to get underway here at Donington Park, and a very full field, which is good to see. Car presentation is up as well, and Pete Morris, who's been a mainstay of Porsche racing for a number of seasons now, is the man on pole position. Relatively local man, he comes from Tamworth, but he's not going to find this an easy race to win because he's got Mark Sumter with him. Mark, former champion, former GT racer, podium finisher in the Wilhar in the Silverstone 24 Hours rather in the past as well. And then on the second row of the grid you've got Tom Bradshaw. Now Tom, after a season in the Carrera Cup GB, former single-seater racer as well, now turning his attentions to this championship for the season, and he certainly, with the Boxster, is going to be a man to watch. Charlie Butler-Henderson.
Yes, and he actually, Craig Wilkins as well, ex-British GT driver, can't remember when he last did a standing start, so that'll be interesting to keep an eye out for Craig Wilkins. So we'll keep an eye out for him very shortly. Yeah,
he's on the fourth row of the grid, Craig, after a year of the Blancpain Endurance Series last season. You might recall his Viper exploits with Aaron Scott in British GT. So this very busy grid forming up. And the marshals hard at work making sure everybody's in the right place. Standing start for the Porsches. Pirelli slicks, new for this year. Pirelli has a long association with the championship. It was the title sponsor way back in the mid-80s after it took over from Jaraflex. And we're just about ready to go racing as the last handful of cars slot into place on the grid. The last driver should be number 92, which is Chris Whittle. But there are one or two drivers across the two classes which are based on power to weight who are a little bit further back on the grid than you might ordinarily expect to find them. One of them, for example, is Craig Wilkins. Another is David Bottrell, who's on the ninth row of the grid. He's normally a very rapid driver. There's one of the new Caymans you can see, which is being driven by Chris Whittle, who starts at the back of the grid. So, 25 minutes of racing. It's one of the longer races of the day here at Donington. Lots of track time for the Porsche drivers. They look towards the lights. The engine notes will rise. The lights will go red. And the lights go out now, and getting bogged down, Pete Morris. Not a great start from the pole man, but Mark Sumter gets away very rapidly indeed, and he leads on the run down towards Redgate Corner for the first time with Mark McAleer in the white car there, former champion, going with him as they turn through Redgate. It's a very busy circuit. 27, the other Paragon car in the hands of Adrian Slater, Mark Sumter's teammate. He's another experienced Porsche peddler. They go down through the Craner curves for the first time, but Mark Sumter has managed to gap them already.
Yeah, he's a very experienced driver, Mark. Raced for many years, raced against him back in GTs when I was in a Marcos, and he was in the Porsches with Mike Jordan. So very experienced, and he'll get to grips with these slick tyres very quickly, whereas it's a bit of a learning curve for some of the less experienced drivers. So he's going to be very confident for the first few laps until the others settle in.
Mark knows all about Porsches. He races them, he sells them, and they're going with him in second place. This battle between Pete Morris and Tom Bradshaw, Mad Pete, as Pete Morris likes to be known, and other battles rage on lower down the order as well. 33, John McCulloch, former Daihatsu rally man, now turning his attention to circuit racing, looking to gain ground as well as they turn through Coppis for the first time. John McCulloch with the 968 Club Sport, one of the older cars on the grid, but a 968 these days, affordable and good low-cost racing in this championship.
Yeah, just wandering around the paddock, you know, all of the cars are so well prepped, you know, and it's a really good atmosphere down there. Everyone, you know, you ask to find where Mark Sumter is in the paddock, and everyone knows where everyone's pitted and parked, and the cars are all so well prepped, and it seems like a really good atmosphere down there, but a real mix of cars.
Look at this battle going on down towards Redgate, because behind Mark Sumter, Pete Morris is under attack, isn't he? On the inside, Tom Bradshaw, the Boxster, challenges the 996 shape Carrera. Down through the Craner curves, they will go in a moment out of Hollywood. That battle for second should play into the hands of the leader. He can escape, but hold each other up by squabbling. Yeah,
so when you look in your mirrors as being in the lead, which is sometimes very rare from my point of view, you're looking back at the field below, and when you see them battling away, you know that they're going to be dicing, blocking, looking in each other's mirrors, and then that just gives the lead a chance just to edge away slightly, which we can see from that shot there coming into McLean's here in this sun-kissed, cool, fresh Donington Park morning today. So that will play into the hands of Mark Sumter, as you very correctly said, David.
Now there, Adrian Slater in 27, also looking to gain ground. He slipped back a little bit on this second lap, but he's challenging once again. Marcus Carneal is the man that he's battling with as they come now through Coppis. The two of them nose to tail. Slater lines up, goes to the outside. Really, though, because Carneal had already blocked the inside line, but he's done it. He's got the grunt in a straight line. Carneal switches sides, looking to try to retaliate coming into the chicane around the outside. Brave move, didn't quite work.
No, so the 99 car still, well, missed out there, but I thought he was going to get a good run on the exit there. But I think there might have been a tiny bit of contact, actually, as he literally got out of his slingshot on the exit of Coppice, and there just looked like a tiny bit of just a bumper nudge as well, just only innocently done, like a little subtle kiss to say that I'm quicker than you and I am coming through.
And Charlie knows all about subtle kisses, everybody. See, it's all part of his love life. Kevin Harrison in 8th place, you had a look at there, number 64, right on the back of Marcus Carneal. So Marcus, having tried to retake that place and it didn't work, has lost time, looked to Adrian Slater, and now he's on the back foot, having to defend from Kevin Harrison, who's another experienced Porsche racer. Marcus Carneal, the man from Mobley in Cheshire, goes now through the old hairpin, and this big field pouring through. Class 2 for the less powerful cars, being headed by John McCulloch, making this good switch from rallying to racing.
Yeah, so, and being on slicks as well probably won't suit his driving style as such, I wouldn't have said, because of the amount of grip level there is from the slicks. But a lot of people will be getting
now look at this for the race lead, because you've now got Pete Morris right back on the tail of Mark Sumpter, heading down towards the chicane. So for the race lead, Mark Sumpter it is, just fending off Pete Morris, but Pete's got the inside line down to the chicane. He hangs on to it, but you've now got them all bunching up, haven't you? 3, possibly even 4 for the lead as they come up over the line.
Okay. So, so top 3 there, and well, 4th place there getting stuck in. So Sumpter being pulled back in and reeled in slightly.
Cheers.
So got a 911 against Boxster. Sumpter really under threat there, so he must have made a big mistake, maybe missed the gear on the exit of that chicane, and really under threat. And these guys are getting used to their slicks, so they're now starting to feel confident. Maybe Sumpter's been a bit too brave and gone at it, bulling a China shop too early.
Possibly so. Now look at Morris, look at Bradshaw, because they are trying to attack for a place and defend at the same time. Life is very busy for them, and Mark Sumpter, having made that good break on the first lap, now struggling to get away once again. You've got Mark McAleer at the back of that pack in the white car. Look, Mark's a former champion. There are 4 previous champions on the grid. He's one of them, so he knows how to do it. And Sumpter goes wide, and he leaves the door wide open. I just wonder if Sumpter's got a problem. He goes defensive there, doesn't he? Weaves across the road to try to fend off Bradshaw, but Morris has gone. He is now being able to pull away, and Mark Sumpter, all of a sudden, looks like he's got problems.
He does look like he's got problems. To have that sort of commanding lead early on, he's now basically a sitting duck, really, because the number 3 car, Wilkins, in 5th place at the moment, has just done the fastest lap on this previous lap. So let's see. This is turning into like a Caterham race. 5 abreast into the chicane, and getting. You don't want to hit those curbs at Donington Park. The new reshaped chicane there really does launch the car in the air. So a lot of time lost, but let's watch that car come back forward again.
That was Tom Bradshaw. You see what happened. One little nudge of the curb, and it compromises the run. Adrian Slater has got past him, but it all started when that man, number 14, Mark McAleer, found a way past him at the chicane. So McAleer now becoming the man to watch. He's up into 3rd place. Now Morris leading, having taken Sumpter for P1. He's already pulled out 4/10 of a second. They come down through the Craner curves once again. And Mark McAleer running in 3rd place, but Mark Sumpter having to look to his laurels a bit now. Lower down the order, it's still John McCulloch leading Class 2, ahead of the car in the hands of Andy Toon as they sprint up now towards Schwantz Curve. And just down the pit lane has come the other Cayman in the hands of Chris Dyer, new to the championship this year. Good to have the variety on the grid, but clearly the car's only just finished and with problems. How about this battle that rages on lower down the order as well? Going through in 74 is the 996 Shade Carrera in the hands of Mike Johnson, looking to see whether he can find a way past number 10 Richard Ellis, the car dealer. Well, here are the leaders. We've got Pete Morris clear of Mark Sumpter for the moment. Mark McAleer not quite on the back of Sumpter because he's a bit busy fending off Craig Wilkins. Now that Craig has got over this problem of a standing start, he's going great guns, isn't he?
And great livery as well, number 3 Wilkins, you know, with that sort of slightly not as bright as you'd expect, but that Union Jack looks really, really good. So a lot of time and effort's gone into that, whether it's a spray job or a vinyl, I don't know, but it does look very, very striking. So fair play to the team and whoever did that livery. Good
to see him back into club racing as well. A whole lot less stressful, I would imagine, than going around Europe with the Blancpain Endurance Series or doing British GT and Brit car races that he's concentrated on. This is just a single-day race meeting. Good fun. Look at the battle behind. Adrian Slater versus Tom Bradshaw. Bradshaw, remember, he's trying to make amends after that duff moment at the chicane. The car has got the pace, hasn't it? But Adrian Slater proving to be a tough nut to crack.
Yeah, definitely. So lots of little battles going down the field, as we are now seeing. And as you were saying, you know, lots of pressure at high-end level racing, and drivers that have come from that high-level racing tend to sort of relax a little bit more when they come to this sort of, you know, fairly high-profile club level and start to actually go quicker and start to enjoy their racing more. And that's why we're all here, is to enjoy your racing. So very, very important that I'm sure he'll have a smile on his face.
Now there is Richard Ellis, and we've got one driver rejoining from the pit lane, Chris Dyer with the Cayman. Now we've already seen that car come into the pits to try and sort out the mechanical dramas. This first race, I suspect, for him is being very much a test session. That is a gorgeous looking car, isn't it? Great livery on that as well. Yeah,
so these are the 3.4 litre Caymans, and this is the first time that they've ever raced in the UK, so it's like their debut. So a bit of a test session for those. I don't think they've actually turned the wheel really either, so it is a proper test day for them as well, and being on slicks and being live on telly, it's quite tough for them. Yeah. So good luck to them, and what a fantastic looking car.
A spotlight to go for your first test session. It's a fairly bright one, isn't it? There's the race leader, Mad Pete Morris, who came out of sprint hill climbing into the Aston Martin Owners Club Intermark Challenge to begin with in Porsches. Bradshaw for the inside, through he goes. He made that look easy.
Good move, but is he going to lose it on the exit? Because he went in very, very deep to the old hairpin, and it's a climb up through Swanch Curve into McLean, so it'll be interesting to see. Yes, he's made it stick as well, so didn't lose out too much there at all. But great move, late on the brakes, into the old hairpin, which is a very brave corner, and job done, sorted.
Now let's see what else he can do about gaining more ground as the cars work their way uphill. Marcus Carneal going strongly, Adrian Slater falling further and further back though, isn't he now? So Slater has lost out to both of the boxers on this lap. The leading group comes down towards the chicane. Whatever that lap was all about from Mark Sumter, he's kind of driven around it, hasn't he? He's not fallen any further back than that second place.
It's as if something was either loose in the car, or he was doing his seatbelts up, or changing gear. I don't know what the problem was, but he seems to have settled down now a little bit. But that was a definite nervous moment for him and his team. And those Paragon cars, I don't think I've ever seen a Porsche race without those livery cars in, that sort of turquoise and blue. It really does stand out, the Paragon team colours.
Battle lower down the order here, coming into the chicane, and in the middle of all of this, David Bottrell trying to fend off Paul Winter, two of them sprinting up over the timing line. David Bottrell, who's got a variety of Porsches and finds somewhere to race just about every day of every weekend. He was busy at Alton Park last weekend. Go back a few seasons when Porsches were supporting the World Touring cars at Brands Hatch. He raced at Croft on the Saturday and at Brands on the Sunday. I reckon that's commitment.
That is commitment, yeah. So it's commitment as well when you race at Croft and then have to fly to Mondello to race as well. So that's even more commitment, trying to get a private jet that I know some of my colleagues have done over the years. Just looking at the lap time actually of Morris there in the lead, car number 2, 16.6, 6/10 off his qualifying lap, but the times at the moment are showing that in general, because of the slick tyre change, that they're about 3.2 seconds under the lap record of last year's lap time. So we're going to see some lap records broken today here at Donington.
The way forward seemingly then for the championship, these slick tyres. Good to have Pirelli back as well, providing the rubber. And Pete Morris leading outright. He's the Class 1 leader. Now Class 2 being headed by John McCulloch, number 33. Here he is coming out of the chicane, and actually he's managed to build quite a decent gap at the moment over the rest of them, because you've got second spot in the class Andy Toon, who drives car number 4, which is the 968 Club Sport. Down towards Redgate they go. And John McCulloch with a fair old advantage, looking as though it's not just a class win he's after, he wants to claim some scalps up front. Now, we've got a change. Mark McAleer has gone second, Sumter is on his laurels for third, and it may not be long before Craig Wilkins gets past him, and Tom Bradshaw is up with them as well. It was Marcus Carneal we saw gaining a place off Slater at the old hairpin, a lap or two back. Bradshaw going strongly, and still 14 minutes of the race remain.
Yeah, Bradshaw did set the fastest lap there, even though he did his lunge on the way into the old hairpin, and somebody getting really out of shape there on the exit of McLean's there, just kicking up the dust on the exit there. Couldn't quite see the number.
But that back marker has done that, right ahead of the second place battle, and they all go round the outside, they all survive it, but McAleer's advantage over Sumter has disappeared, and here comes Mark on the outside line now.
So yeah, Mark on the outside line, don't know if he's going to do this. I very much doubt this is going to stick, but this will give the other two guys behind, Bradshaw and Wilkins, chance to get on the tail of Sumter and then maybe do a late lunge on the way into Redgate, which Wilkins looks like he's already doing at the moment, but on the outside. So opposite to what I said, but this is 3 abreast now into Redgate Bend. This is absolutely unbelievable stuff. Sumter's got his lights on because he knows he's now going to be approaching back markers, and so has McAleer as well.
McAleer hangs on to it. Craig Wilkins has got a problem. He's either made a mess or he's got a mechanical problem. I think it's the latter, because the car does not pick up pace. So he was on the outside at Redgate. He looks like he's history. Mark McAleer hangs on to second. He's got Mark Sumter right up behind him as they drop down towards the old hairpin. And while this is going on, remember we said early on about holding yourself up as there Craig Wilkins pulls into retirement. While all this is going on, Pete Morris leads by over 5 seconds up front.
Yeah, that is exactly what we were saying. When you're squabbling around, back markers then start to play a part in this. You can see all of the drivers got their lights on now because they don't want to get held up by other people, it really does show that that when you're in the lead and you've got no one to dice with, that you can really get your head down and get on with it and try and block out what's going on behind you. So Bradshaw still got the fastest lap of a 1 minute 16.4, which is still a couple of tenths off the pole time of Peter Morris. And Sumter's going up for another move now to take second place on the inside of the newly shaped chicane here at Donington, and it's stuck. Perfect. What a lovely move. But my money's on Bradshaw at the moment. Bradshaw's looking very, very, don't really like the terminology, but I'll use it, very racy today. He's looking very, very quick.
Makes you wonder where he would be in the order were it not for that moment at the chicane, because he's certainly got the car speed, hasn't he? Mark Sumter then up into second place, pulling away because McAleer goes defensive, and now Bradshaw and Carneal have got themselves together, the two boxers running together then as they work their way round Redgate onto the top of the Craner curves past the stricken car of Craig Wilkins. Weird, isn't it? Sumter loses ground, loses places, suddenly fights back and pulls away.
Yeah, and it's nice to see those two teammates back there with the silver and the green and orange striped vehicles further back there, just teammates. So hopefully they're not going to have to fall out and argue in the awning later on. But yeah, Sumter, I think he was very, very confident on cold rubber. The others were a little bit sort of gingerly around the circuit, wanting to keep the car for the second race here at Donington. And another back marker getting in the way, but again having his own race, just, you know, minding his own business, pulling over to one side, perfect.
And that really, as Hugo Holmes was the driver, was just wrong place, wrong time, wasn't it? Look at this, up the inside goes Marcus Carneal now, so what Charlie is saying about Tom Bradshaw looking racy is absolutely right, but Marcus Carneal is also looking pretty racy. The two Hartech Racing teammates are being joined by Adrian Slater. As the race unwinds, you've got different battles developing, but as Carneal got a problem, having made that move, it didn't work, he's dropped time, and now Slater is right back on his tail.
Yeah, he looked like he'd have missed a gear and correct it. Watch it doesn't snap the other way. Well saved. Ooh, perfect. That could have gone horribly wrong. So many cars have gone into the top end of the pit wall here at Donington just by clipping the curb, getting the back end out, and then that was over-correcting it, and that's called what we call in the racing world as a tank slapper, where the fuel sloshes around in the tank and it goes from one way to the other way and the other way. So nobody likes that.
And Marcus Carneal survives the experience, albeit having lost more ground. So it's a race that nobody seems to want to be second in. The race leader, Pete Morris, is well clear, but behind him, people gain and lose all the way through the race. To the inside line, look, diving now down towards the old hairpin. Marcus Carneal goes back ahead and goes off. This time round it goes. He's just gained a place, he's thrown it away, and crunch into the tyre barrier. He just got past Kevin Harrison, and that, dare one suggest, was a bit of red mist.
Well, possibly, but he may. I think he probably overcooked his rear tyres. Being new to slicks, doesn't know that the characteristics of the tyre maybe changes, and has just underestimated the rear end of the vehicle. But it's very similar. Doesn't look like looks like something's locked on because the car, as he's trying to pull away, is grabbing one way, unless it's just slipping on the damp grass. But we'll have a little look at that, see if he gets going again, and crack on with the race. But Marcus there struggling with rear end grip and going wide at the chicane and then again at the old hairpin, and it's quite a scary space that to go sideways. Bit of damage on the back of the car, but nothing I don't think that the guys can sort out, only a few cosmetics.
It'll all polish out. 9 more minutes of this opening round of the championship remain. Although Pete Morris is an easy leader, 7 seconds to the good, quite a lot's been happening around it, hasn't it? Because Mark Sumter is back up into second place, having led early on. Third, you've got Mark McAleer. Fourth, Tom Bradshaw. Fifth, Adrian Slater. Sixth is now 64, which is Kevin Harrison. 7th is Richard Ellis. In 8th place, you've got the car dealer Mike Johnson. 8th is John McCulloch leading his class. No, sorry, 9th rather is John McCulloch leading his class, and then Paul Livesey as the next battle dives into Redgate. David Bottrell still squabbling with Paul Winter, and there Tom Bradshaw is now third at the expense of Mark McAleer. So they trade places once again. None of them, though, seeming to do anything about Pete Morris, the man on pole position. He was quicker by only half a second in qualifying, but he really has, ever since he hit the front, made good his escape.
I reckon Bradshaw's going to do a quicker lap time on this lap now, coming up over the next couple of laps. Now he's got Sumter in his sights. He's got McAleer, a little bit in the distance now. I think there's going to be a bit of a chase here from the young Charger. So great racing here from the Porsches, especially at the front end. Pretty good.
Apart from for this man, who's the only lonely chap in the race, Pete Morris, another immaculately presented car, isn't it? And the 996 shape Carrera 2 goes off through Hollywood, down through the Craner curves. The gap's coming down a bit, actually, because last time Mark Sumter pulled back 3/10 of a second against Mad Pete. There he is, down towards the old hairpin. C1 on the windscreen indicating which class he runs in.
that is a massive lead, isn't it?
It is.
Hugely. You know, I love that shot of Craner curves. Some of the most famous set of curves in the world, pretty much. Craner curves at Donington. What a beautiful shot that we've got there, and what a lead he's got. So Sumpter, and then Bradshaw. Can Bradshaw pull something out the bag to beat his time at the fastest lap of 1:16.4?
Bit of damage on the back of Richard Ellis's car there. He was a winner here last year. Kicked up the dirt, but you can see how hard he's been pushing in this race. He's on the back of Kevin Harrison now as they work their way up towards McLean's corner. Through that right-hander. Need a good run out of that to get Coppice right. Coppice a tricky corner. Double apex right up this brow.
Yeah, so you've got a curve on the inside, so it is blind. You have to turn in completely blind. Lots of people go straight on in the gravel on various test days as I've been racing over the years. And then you've got a curve on the inside that we just saw there on the inset of the screen that bikers take. There's a biker's line which take it tight, and being a car, being heavier and wider, we have more sort of fugal force, as it were, that we need to force out wider on the exit, so we go a lot wider there. But great action from these two through the chicane.
This chicane's been in for, what, 3 seasons or so, if not more now, but still drivers don't seem to be as confident about the right line as they were on the old chicane.
Yeah, I was talking to a couple of the drivers earlier and was saying, you know, we've been to Donington recently, and a few of them said no. I said, just be careful of the curbs on the inside. So here we go, we've got the rear light. Yeah. It's a very expensive rear light that the marshals are going to collect at some point, unless it hangs on from that one bit of Porsche wiring that's keeping it together. But yeah, the chicane, high curbs on the inside, is very misleading.
And off goes Paul Livesey. That was at Redgate Corner. He's going to be able to reverse himself out of there. But how many places would he have lost out of all of that? He was running strongly in the top 10. So he rejoins Paul Livesey. Now what's going on for Mark Sumpter? He's got pressure again from Tom Bradshaw. Pete Morris still leads the way. The gap had come down last time by over a second as Morris got a problem, because now as they work their way down towards the chicane, Mark Sumpter is absolutely flying, possibly spurred on by having Bradshaw behind him. So as they come into the chicane, Sumpter turns right, turns left, he sprints up towards the timing line, and as they come through, goes too wide, goes over the curb. Pete Morris laps in the 18s. Mark Sumpter loses second place, but the gap is down to 4.5 seconds. Tom Bradshaw's up to second spot. We've got 5 minutes to go. Bradshaw could, yeah, just take a last gasp win here.
Well, it could do. The lap times doesn't change, so he obviously peaked on his tyres at that particular moment on lap 8 of the race.
But look how much he's taken out of Morris. 1.3 seconds quicker than the leader last time through.
Yeah, and when we come out to these shots again of Craner curves, well, the distance is back, but the distance definitely is reducing. So he hasn't got long. I think it's going to be a tight one, but I did say I'll put my money on him, didn't I? So maybe I should put some money on the Grand Nationals there. You never know.
And the lottery. See if you can do the triple. Right, this other battle, Kevin Harrison versus Richard Ellis, comes down now towards the old hairpin. This is for 6th place you're looking at, this squabble, but it's up front where the race leader either has got a problem perhaps with tyres, or maybe is just pacing himself. You don't have to win by a big margin, you just have to win. Question is, can Pete Morris hang on in there with Tom Bradshaw, former single-seater ace and Carrera Cup GB front runner as well, bearing down on him? Here is Pete Morris. 4 more minutes to go. He's going to get at least 3 more laps in, maybe 4. Through the chicane, all neat and tidy.
I love the way that the Porsches have that, where the engine's in the back and you see that front wheel just hopping up in the air, so just raising slightly. It really does look fantastic. Yeah, the gap's definitely come down, absolutely massively come down. So
4.5 to 3.7 in the space of a lap. That's what it's come down by. On that lap, again, 8/10 quicker was Bradshaw. And is there a trace of smoke coming out of the back of the leader's car?
I did notice that when you said earlier what a beautifully prepared and immaculate looking car it was. I noticed just out of the right, just by that right rear wheel, as we're looking at it left-hand side, there was a little puff of smoke. But it's a Porsche rear engine, you know. They always have a little puff.
That was a big puff there.
That puff of smoke is now getting bigger. So yeah. That's probably why he's lifting off. He's hopefully can maybe smell something in the cockpit, you never know, and also we'll be looking at the temperature gauges, so that may be why he's backing off slightly and trying to judge that gap so Bradshaw doesn't just dive up the inside at the last minute. But gap's definitely decreasing. Sumpter seems very settled in 3rd. They seem to have spread out a little bit more now, but what a great first few laps, you know, first good 10-15 minutes were great.
There's a lot happening in this race still, because this for 6th place, Kevin Harrison versus Richard Ellis. We've got 3 more minutes to go. Now the question is whether Pete Morris can get to the end. Just wondering what that smoke is all about. Is he dropping anything on the circuit as well, which might make it slippery for the rest of the drivers in the race? Ellis has still just about got something hanging onto the back of the car, but the main light cluster has dropped off, but he's about to get alongside Harrison. Look down towards the chicane. So here they come, almost level for 6th place, down to the braking area. Kevin Harrison hangs on to it though as he turns now right, then left through the chicane, up towards the timing line. and we've got 2.5 minutes of the race remaining. Now, Bradshaw has done a new fastest lap of the race. The lead gap is down to 2.1 seconds. Pete Morris is the only person really that wants the checkered flag to come out a bit early.
Yeah, definitely, especially with that puff of smoke that his mechanics will be seeing, and also from hearing the commentary as well. They'll be sort of keeping a close eye on the action of what's been going on, but that's the last thing you need. I don't think he's dropping anything on the circuit. It just looks like he's actually burning and vaporising before it actually gets to the circuit, so there's no sort of shiny trail of oil that I can see on the circuit at the moment.
But 2 minutes to go. It's going to be at least one more lap. It may even be two. And the number of laps that he's got to get through the 25 minutes is all going to impact on whether he's the winner or not. A flying lap is just below 1 minute 20. He's going to have time for 2 more laps, I would think, at the end of this one. And 2 is not the number he wants, because that gives another opportunity for Tom Bradshaw to close, and it means that the car has got to go that little bit further and hopefully hold together as Mark Sumpter, early leader, turns through the chicane. He's pushing hard. Shaken off Mark McAleer, hasn't he? But again, is this all down to people learning about slicks? Over the line, the lead gap is 1.2 seconds. Tom Bradshaw should win the race on this evidence with 2 laps to go.
It's looking good, because you can always judge it just from the pit lane exit with the painted blue area there coming into the turning point of Redgate. You can just see that gap has decreased so much, and I definitely think that Morris can smell the oil now and actually knows that there's a mistake and needs to nurture the car a little bit. So does he blow up and go for the win? Does he sacrifice and ease it home for second? But then Sumpter at the same time isn't too far away either to maybe snatch that from him again. So leading the race dominantly to then maybe finish third due to an engine problem or oil problem, whatever it may be, isn't good news going through your head in that race car.
Especially as there is another race to come later in the day. They are both point-scoring championship rounds here at Donington. So, OK, like you say, does he go for broke? But does that risk not taking part in race 2 and risk not scoring at all? It may be better just to nurse it home and take some points. Pete Morris knows how to win championships. He's the reigning Class 1 champion within this title. So as he comes down there towards the chicane, 26 seconds are on the clock. He's got 1 more lap to squeeze out of this. Here he comes, up over the line. And as the cars accelerate up past the pits, through they go. Pete Morris is the leader still by 9/10 of a second. Another new best lap of the race by Tom Bradshaw, 1:16.4 that time around. The gap is down to 0.9 of a second. Even though that was a better lap, Morris has speeded up again. So the gap's not coming down quite as much. Pete Morris wants to win this. This is the last roll of the dice. He can up his pace and hope that it hangs on to the end.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe the guys are just over top the oil up too much, maybe, but you would think it would have smoked at the beginning of the race, not towards the end like it is. So
there's anything to do with the weight shifting of the car. It always seems to be a bit more when it's towards the right-hand side. I don't think it's tyre smoke. Yeah. It's definitely just definitely looks like oil smoke to me. Okay, so having said Bradshaw can win this race, I take it all back, because now Pete Morris has upped his pace. Half a lap to go. From 0.9 of a second back, Tom's not getting there quickly enough, is he? So it looked good, but now that Pete Morris has decided to push on just for another lap or two, it's harder for Tom Bradshaw to get close enough. Mark Sumpter here looking good for third.
Yeah, definitely, and bit of a close call. Led the race at the very early stages, and then back markers and a slight mistake got the rest of the pack to sort of pounce on him a little bit. But Morris here coming up for the win. Checkered flag, has it come out?
It has indeed. Just seeing under the gantry. Checkered flag falls to Pete Morris, 1.3 seconds away from Tom Bradshaw in the end. Bradshaw not doing a great last lap, so Pete Morris survives to win. Second goes the way of Tom Bradshaw. Mark Sumpter takes third. Fourth to Mark McAleer. Adrian Slater is fifth. And this for sixth. Kevin Harrison, to be fair to him, has driven a wide old car in this race. He's kept at bay Richard Ellis. They come nose to tail over the line, but sixth goes to Harrison, seventh for Ellis. And in the background, eighth coming out of the chicane is the Class 2 winner, and that is a win for John McCulloch.
Peter, congratulations. First race of the day and first race win. How does that feel?
Oh, race win always feels good. It's the first time that the club's been on these Pirellis. So, yeah, Pirellis, yeah, because I'm used to Michelin Cups, which are a road tyre. But they've had a good tyre, so the testing went well. So I've managed to put that into practice. The heavy cars, they're weighing in at 1,420 kilos, so it takes some stopping. I noticed the other lad was chasing me at the end, catching me up, but I just had to keep the pace on and be a bit rude through traffic. But great race.
We saw a little bit of smoke when you were going around on your rear right. It caused a little bit of consternation up in the comms box. Were you aware of that?
Yeah, that's a catch. It's an oil catchment pit. It's a little container that the overspill oil goes into, so it's nothing to worry about.
Ah, that's brilliant news. So it means you're back out and looking for a second race win later on.
Hopefully, yeah. I'll try again. Thank you.
Well done.
Pete Morris, pole position for this second round of the Porsche Club Championship. Mark Sumpter with him at the front of the grid. Row 2 is Tom Bradshaw and Mark McAleer. Row 3, Adrian Slater and Marcus Carneal. Craig Wilkins, ex-British GT and Block Pan Endurance Series racer. Row 4, John McCulloch, class winner earlier on in the day, is with him. Row 5, Kevin Harrison and Paul Livesey, who had a spin in race 1. The marshal there trying to make sure that everybody is in the right place. At the back of the field, 92, Chris Whittle, with one of the 2 new Cayman in the race. And it was a car that was a bit troubled in race 1, but it's a gorgeous looking shape that, and immaculately presented, as indeed are pretty much every one of the cars on the grid for this second round of the championship. So, as the last couple of cars, Gary Sullivan and Chris Whittle, slot into place, we're just about ready to go racing.
But it's a bit warmer again. It is, yeah, by far the warmest race they'll have done these tyres in.
5-second board has been shown. Drivers look towards the lights, which will go red when the lights go out. We're going to be in business then. Pete Morris versus Mark Sumpter on the front of the grid. The engine notes rise, the lights go out, the cars sag on the rear suspension. Marcus Carneal bogs down a little bit from the third row of the grid. They sprint down towards Redgate. Mark Sumpter's made a good getaway, but Pete Morris has got the inside line going into the corner. He should be able to hang on to the lead. Adrian Slater goes third. Everybody diving to the inside there, trying to keep away from anything slippery on the outside. One car has gone wide and kicked up dust. The cement dirt being kicked up as well. And it's Pete Morris that comes out of Redgate ahead. Sumpter second, Adrian Slater third, Mark McAleer fourth.
Yeah, got a great start from Wilkin there. That's about 6th or 7th at the moment. Really good start there in the Union Jack liveried car that had a bit of a mishap in the race 1 that we saw earlier today. So looking forward to him seeing soaring his way through the field. But remember, slick tyres, as I was starting to say a little bit earlier, they're going to be cold at the moment. That lap isn't really enough to get the temperature into them. So they're going to be a little bit gingerly, just slowly sort of trickling around the circuit, getting as much heat as they possibly can in before we start to see some lap times drop.
Adrian Slater up into second place. He's got himself ahead of Mark Sumpter and is attacking Pete Morris then as they go through Coppice for the first time. The 2 Paragon Porsche entries running together, fighting for second. They've got Mark McAleer, former champion, joining in as well. 4 previous champions in this. McAleer ahead of, in 5th place as they come down towards the chicane, Tom Bradshaw and Marcus Carneal, but then he gets past Slater and Sumpter has got past Slater as well. Here they come up over the timing line. Craig Wilkins there in the Union flag liveried car going great guns, gets past both of the Boxsters. The leader is Morris, Sumpter second, McAleer there in the white car third, Adrian Slater drops to 4th, and diving up on the inside, Tom Bradshaw goes 5th, 6th there, number 3 is Craig Wilkins, Marcus Carneal is 7th, and 8th in the black car behind them is Paul Livesey. His 968 going strongly, one of the older cars, still competitive. It's been a busy old first lap. Adrian Slater did well to begin with, he's dropped back ever so slightly, and Pete Morris leads the way.
Yeah, great start, as I said, from Wilkins there, wedged at the moment in between 2 Boxsters, so I'm sure he'll be able to get past the other one a little bit later and start to attack the 2 Paragon cars that are further up the field.
Well, there's the leader. There is Pete Morris, the man from Tamworth, and actually he's got a good gap, hasn't he, because behind him Sumpter is busy defending from Mark McAleer. As the cars now work their way, Mark McAleer, a former champion, Mark Sumpter, a former champion, up towards Coppice. Craig Wilkins under real attack there, right with him, and a bit of contact, possibly Marcus Carneal.
Yeah, definitely a bit of contact there, just as the Boxster went up over the inside curve, the car launched up into the air and innocently touched the rear quarter of Wilkin there. So nothing, just a racing incident really, nothing to report back. They won't be worried about that. No words will be said afterwards. And another late move and another bit of contact on the way into the chicane. Car number 15.
Paul Livesey gets involved, and it's Marcus Carneal, the biter bit in a sense. He was the aggressor earlier on, now he is attacked. And look at it behind, 3 abreast coming over the line.
there will be words said about that afterwards. That was a bit of a late move again that we saw earlier in the BMW race. So lots of late lunges being done, and again turning in on number 74 there on the way into Redgate. Lots of action happening, guys not using their mirrors and trying to squeeze each other out and not give each other any room at all.
74 Mike Johnson, who tried to get past Paul Livesey, didn't really pay off for him. So again, very crowded line diving in towards Redgate corner. Up front, Pete Morris leads the way by 1.6 seconds. You're on board with Mark Sumpter, who is down to third. Look, Mark McAleer's got past him.
So coming into McLean's there and then back out of the camera shot again, but through McLean's it's a slightly uphill corner, slightly blind, and then getting the power on nice and early to have a good run up into Coppice. This is blind. It's uphill, you're braking uphill, you turn, kiss the curb on the inside, let the car run wide as you possibly can. The bike line, as I said, was tighter on the inside, and then can they get the toe? Different cars here, different ages of cars, so different engine modifications, etc. But keeping each other true all the way down the back straight here at Donington. Braking, hearing those brakes squealing as the heat generated through them. Back on the power again, and not getting quite a good as run as the car in front on the way out of the chicane there. So great battle here. We've got a battle here for second place and another big battle for sort of third, a little bit further back.
Look at Bradshaw diving up the inside. He gets past Adrian Slater. He nearly got past Mark Sumpter as well. So Tom Bradshaw in the Boxster, a man in a hurry. Remember, ex-FF 1600 Northwest champion, raced well in Formula Palmer Audi. He moved to the Carrera Cup GB. Budget is a bit tight, but he should go well in this category. That said, he's got a lot of very experienced Porsche racers around him, and even though he's had that season in Carrera Cup GB at a high level, the likes of Mark Sumpter, Pete Morris, Mark McAleer, they are not short on racecraft.
He won the scholarship, didn't he? I think a couple of years ago.
That's right.
Yeah, so great opportunity for him. Money is very tough to find in sponsorship with motorsport these days, so he'll just be happy to be racing, really, and I'm sure he'll probably be enjoying it maybe more than being in the media eye of the Carrera Cup. So great racing that he'll be learning from Sumpter and the more experienced guys around him, but a young lad not to be reckoned with.
Exactly. This is Sumpter. McAleer to the left. Mark Sumpter has got the inside line down to the chicane. This is the battle for second place. Mark Sumpter should be able to go through. He's got the right line, he's got the tighter line, and he has gone through. Runs a little bit deep, and so McAleer fights back. But Mark Sumpter hangs on to the place then as they power their way up over the line.
And there we go, another move on the inside as well. So McAleer lost out, or possibly just about to lose out.
Bradshaw with him on the outside. Adrian Slater making it 4 wide, almost coming into the corner. Bradshaw tries the outside line on Mark Sumpter. That's really brave. It's not going to work, surely it doesn't. Can he stay ahead of McAleer? Yes, he can.
Yes, he can, yeah.
So now you've got Bradshaw up into third place. And again, as we saw in race 1, he's very good at working his way up through the order.
Yeah, no, he is. And Sumpter as well, a very experienced driver. No way is he going to get anyone, a young high flyer, in the box there, overtaken around the outside of Redgate. But he's looking again very hungry to pass the Paragon Porsche in front of him of Mark Sumpter, which is our onboard camera car as well. So we should be getting some shots from that possibly later throughout this race. Bradshaw
right on the tail of Sumpter then. Nose to tail, heading up towards Coppice. Mark McAleer running in 4th place, Adrian Slater 5th. He was 5th in race 1 as well, Adrian Slater, trying to go better than that, but starting to pair off a little bit. But Pete Morris leads by nearly 4 seconds. There he is. And the reason, in part, that he's got such a big lead is all of these swabbles going on behind.
Yeah. Drivers squabbling around, they're using their mirrors, they're blocking each other, they're using different racing lines, they're coming out of corners slower, they're going in tighter, they're not using the whole flow of this beautiful Donington Park circuit, which has allowed the leader to get away. So he's just absolutely chuckling away to himself. The reason why he had some oil coming out of his car in the first race, just to clarify, wasn't a problem, it was just a slight overfill of the catch tank, basically, so the catch tank was collecting too much oil.
The gap has come down only by a 10th, but it's come down between Morris and Sumpter. Part of this is because Sumpter is being urged on. He's got the very quick Bradshaw behind him. He knows he needs to speed up here if he can. And their battle now, so intense is it, is carrying them a little bit closer to the leader. And look behind, McAleer shaking off Slater, closing on Bradshaw. So you've got the Carrera ahead of the Boxster. Up front, it's the 996 shape Carrera. Pete Morris at the wheel of it that leads the way. Out of McLean's, up towards Coppice.
That Boxster looks incredibly stable through these corners, through the old hairpin. Watch on the exit of Coppice. Now I've said this probably won't happen, but he's on the brakes, back on the power again. The car just looks so lively in the mid bit of the corner, ready to sort of pass Sumpter, but then maybe has a slight power issue against the 911 in front of him.
And the way the regulations work out is to try and balance the power and the weight of the cars, so you can have these different models all still being competitive. So here you've got the Carrera 2 You've got the 996 Carrera, you've got the Boxster all squabbling as they come out of the chicane over the timing line. Sumter hangs on to second place. Tom Bradshaw right up behind him. He needs a good run down the pit straight, ready to challenge at Redgate, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, and he hasn't done it. But Sumter's got his lights on. He's obviously anticipating some back markers to be starting to sort of come into their own now. Remember, this race, we've got a good 16 minutes left of this race. Morris, still done the fastest lap, is out on his own, doing his own thing, just sort of checking in his rearview mirrors, checking all the dials, making sure everything's okay, and hoping that these guys either take themselves out or squabble and give him an even bigger break there. But Sumter and Bradshaw again, that Boxster looking very, very stable, having a look on the inside of Franche curve. Lights ablaze of Sumter coming into McLean's. You dab the brakes, down a gear, turn in, wait for a little bit, then get the power on nice and early to get a good run out. Bradshaw got on the power slightly earlier there. You could just see him just nudging closer and closer. This is where the Boxster looks very, very stable. Mid-corner, you can see him soaring at the wheel there, trying to fight with the car around this very, very smooth Donington Park circuit.
And again, they've paired off because McAleer has been caught by Slater, so he has to defend. So he drops back from Bradshaw, who again is realising that you don't easily get past Mark Sumter. Mark has raced Porsches both in Porsche Championships and international GT races for many, many years. When it comes to Porsche knowledge, Mark, well, he's probably second to none. He races them, repairs them, and sells them as well. Tom Bradshaw thought about the inside there, going down towards Redgate, but stays in the wheel tracks. But the lead gap continues to come down. It's now 3.1 seconds. So what we saw in race 1 is happening again. Pete Morris scarpers, and then gradually the rest of them come to him. So he's not necessarily going to make it 2 out of 2.
He's either doing it tactfully, knowing that he's controlling the race, or he's just got the car set up to grip really early on the cold, slick tyres. Remember, they're running on brand new slick tyres this weekend, first time for all of them, if you just pick that up. So great racing. So Morris, let's see if these guys can sort of settle down with each other and think, right, let's work together, let's push on together and try and catch and tackle Morris to try and put him under pressure. It looks like Bradshaw might have figured that out from Sumter's body language, really, on the circuit.
Adrian Slater, 5th. He's just starting to drop off the back of this. Remember how well he went on lap 1. We had him up into 2nd place at one stage, but now he's fading a little bit. And Mark Sumter here in 2nd can see Pete Morris up the road. He knows what the target is, but he's got this pesky Boxster right up behind him that brakes late coming into the chicane. And Tom Bradshaw is right there. They accelerate their way now up over the line. The man who's based in Bolton these days, Tom Bradshaw, right up behind Mark Sumter. And the gap between the leaders is down again. It's down to 2.9, so gradually it's being whittled away. We've got 14 minutes and change still on the clock as the 2nd and 3rd place battle you're looking at here rounds Redgate. 4th behind them is Mark McAleer, and up the road, Charlie, back markers.
Yes, the back markers that we love to talk about, because this really does get the drivers to think hard. So Sumter's going to get this one absolutely fine. He pushes a gap through, so Bradshaw's clever enough to tuck right up Sumter's back end and push on through. Old hairpin they go. The back marker will stay wide, which will restrict their exit slightly, so that will hamper their lap time slightly. But these two look like they've really settled out and started. Sumter looks like he's guided that young charger behind him to say, look, let's just chill out, let's work together, and let's try and crack on and chase Morris. But the back markers, lights ablaze of Sumter's car, is definitely going to play a part in these guys possibly not being able to catch Morris, or Morris might get them unlucky. It's where you catch the back markers, which is it's sometimes sod's law or sometimes good luck.
Absolutely right. So 77 is Mark Sumter, and Tom Bradshaw this lap looking even more committed, thinks about the inside, and we've got somebody off the road. That's at Schwantz Curve. It's one of the Class 2 cars that is not going a whole lot further, as there is Adrian Slater having to work his way through traffic down at the chicane. He's still in 5th, but he's a rather distant 5th, isn't he now? He's dropping away. The lead gap has gone up again because we're now 3.2 seconds now. Morris to Sumter, so Pete Morris pulls away that lap around. Down through Hollywood they will go. Mark McAleer 4th is coming back at them. So Pete Morris leads this 2nd race of the day in the Porsche Club Championship. Join us for the conclusion at Donington after the break.
Sumter again with Tom Bradshaw right behind him. Mark McAleer possibly half a length further back, but he's actually going wide and taking the line he wants through the corners, whereas Mark Sumter was defensive and Tom Bradshaw was aggressive. Not really through the corner, and it's that boxer in the middle of that sandwich. There is a moment of nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would concur with that.
Welcome back to Donington Park for this Motors TV live race day. David Anderson and Charlie Butler-Henderson trackside, and we're watching race 2 of the day for the Porsche Club of Great Britain Porsche Club Championship. It's being led by Pete Morris, the race 1 winner from earlier on in the day, but he's being caught by this battle. Mark Sumter in 77, Tom Bradshaw behind him in number 98. Mark McAleer in the white car runs 4th, and Pete Morris is only 2.4 seconds ahead of them. He was well over 3 seconds at one stage, and so with 10 minutes to go, game on. Change for second. Bradshaw up the inside of the old hairpin. He goes through, runs a little bit wide up onto the curb, onto the dirt, but he managed to hang on to that. That was a very good move.
Yeah, very good move. It's like as if he waited for the commercial break to be over again before he did his move, so the cameras picked it up again. So great move into the old hairpin, late on the brakes, ran wide. Now he's got a back marker to deal with. Was he biding his time? Was he letting his slick tyres cool down? Remember, these guys are running on slicks for the first time this year, so all new to the championship. Turning in through Coppice, running as wide as possible, changing up a gear. And then can you get in the toe of the car in front? I think Sumter's car, these are quite evenly matched, aren't they? So Mark Sumter, very experienced Porsche driver, and whoever's going to be the latest on the brakes, Bradshaw's looking the stronger at the moment. So tight on the inside, through the chicane, staying off the red lumpy curbs because they will damage the underneath of your car. Now Sumter under threat from McAleer. McAleer behind him in the white 911 behind him.
Mark McAleer to the outside, another former champion. Mark McAleer, like Mark Sumter, level with him as they come into Redgate straight away. Bradshaw is escaping, but he's lost time on that lap by overtaking, so Morris's lead extends just a little bit. Like in race 1, Mark Sumter's car seems to fade a bit as the race wears on. Behind in 4th place there is Mark McAleer. Down they come through the Craner curves. You've got Adrian Slater 5th, Marcus Carneal is 6th, and Mark Sumter now is having to go defensive once again to keep at bay Mark McAleer. We've got 8 3/4 minutes of the race remaining. We are on now lap number 13. They managed to get 20 laps out of race 1, so that's the target. And this is Tom Bradshaw 2nd, and his target is clear. It's catching Pete Morris up the road. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Bradshaw's charge now. It'll be good to see when the cameras pan out. There was Morris that just went out of shot. Here's Bradshaw with the orange wing mirrors of the Boxster. This is Sumter now, number 77 car, going through Coppice, down the back straight at Donington Park. Bradshaw, I think, is going to be up the tail of Morris, race leader that we're looking at now in the next couple of laps, which will be fantastic. So 8 minutes, just over 8 minutes left. Morris is holding the lap record, or fastest lap at the moment, of a 1:16.9, and I'm really interested on seeing Bradshaw's gap decrease as we see these two silver and black cars coming down the main straight here at Donington. Granted, we've had a fair bit of oil put down over the day. The best lap of this race, not as good yet as the best lap of the first race that was done on a clean circuit at the start of the day. The gap between the leaders is down to 2.1 seconds. Bradshaw has now done the fastest lap of the race, a 1:16.7. So Morris is being caught, and he's in traffic as well. Look, coming down towards the old hairpin. Hugo Holmes gets out of the way, the martial arts instructor. There in 2nd place, Tom Bradshaw. And he's got to hustle on. He cannot afford to relax for a moment, and nor really up front can the leader, Pete Morris. Yeah, that led into the hands of Bradshaw there, because Morris got slowed down, and like it again, he's going to get slowed down into McLean's. Look, this is absolutely unbelievable. The fact that the back markers are falling not for Morris there. Bradshaw got held up a little bit there at McLean's, but so did Morris again coming into Coppice. So this too,
you know, I don't think the lap times really, or the gap, is going to be distinguished on pace of Bradshaw. It's going to be who gets held up the least by back markers. But there you can see them both in shot. Car on the right-hand side, Bradshaw overtaking a back marker now.
And he needs to do that before the chicane, otherwise he'll lose a big chunk of time. He does get past the slower car under braking. The gap, remember, was 2.1 seconds last time when they came over the line. This lap through, how's the traffic affected things? It is a second and a half. Tom Bradshaw is on a real charge here, and 6.5 minutes remain. Lower down the order, Marcus Carneal there is trying to get past Paul Ward to lap him, and whoops, Paul Ward moves across on him a little bit. Craig Wilkins goes up the other side and gets past both of them, but Marcus Carneal there, badly delayed by a back marker.
It says, yeah, thank you very much from Wilkins there. That was like, thanks very much, I'll take that and keep the change.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
But not very gentlemanly driving. And lower down the order, a battle that began on the first lap continues. Mike Johnson in 74, keeping at bay, look. Kevin Harrison, and right with them, Richard Ellis. Remember that Harrison and Ellis battled race long in race 1. They're doing it again in race 2, and they've got a new playmate. Down through the Crater curves they come. Still, Ellis can't find a way past Harrison. He had 25 minutes to do it earlier. He's had about 19 of them in this race, and he still can't quite work out how to do it.
Number 74 car of Johnson there, going through the old hairpin, kicking up a load of dust at his competitors, in front of them, and trying to just take the tightest line possible. Another kick of dust up from one of those cars in the middle of pack there. But back markers really are taking their toll on some of these higher flyers. And we've got the Cayman there, the silver Cayman there. Do you know what Cayman means, David?
Go on.
It means it's a baby crocodile. Baby crocodile, because it's shaped, the way that the Cayman is shaped, it looks a little bit like a baby crocodile. So there you go, you've learned something new today from me.
Fascinating fact, 37, I should write that down. That Cayman was the car of Chris Whittle that wasn't being hugely cooperative to Richard Ellis, and he's getting in the way. The lead gap, 2.1, became 1.5, became 0.8. If things carry on in this vein, Bradshaw should win this race, and there he is in second place. Turns his way out of the old hairpin. So you've got the Boxster chasing after the 996 shaped Carrera, and 0.8 of a second at the start of the lap. He's going to be less by the end. It could even be a new leader by the end of the lap.
It's looking likely. I said that I've done quite well with my early bets with Bradshaw. I said that he'd be a bit of a charger, and I think if Morris hasn't woken up yet, you can see Morris there just looking in his mirror. He saw the helmet and the visor moving, soaring at the wheel, the car number 2 there of the very dominant race leader. And Bradshaw's going to go and do it. This is going to be a pure drag race down the back straight here in Donington into the tight chicane.
Morris moves across and he's managed to hang on to it. Bradshaw backs out of that and goes to the outside line. The Boxster of Bradshaw on the outside into the chicane. He can't go all the way around the outside there. So Pete Morris hangs on to the lead. This is about to become the world's widest 996 of Pete Morris, and it needs to be so. Over the line they come. So 0.8 becomes half a second. That is all. It was closer than that when they were dead level, wasn't it? Down towards Redgate. Can Morris hang on for 4 more minutes? He's going to have to really stick out his elbows, and at every opportunity Tom Bradshaw is going to be looking for a way by. But Pete Morris then, having repelled him for the moment, has opened up a bit more of a gap.
Bradshaw is very, very quick from now. He's very, very good on the brakes. He's very good through the minimum, sort of the middle bit of the corner, through the old hairpin. Very good up the hill and through McLean's and Coppice. But Morris, I just think, woken up and gone, oh, right, I've now got some competition now, and has just sort of stuck his foot down again. So thank you for getting us all excited there, Mr. Morris, but going to ruin it for us now. So dropping back there, number 98.
He's got a problem, hasn't he? Tom Bradshaw's got a problem, because look how much closer Sumter is. That gap is coming down and down. Something has gone wrong. Tom Bradshaw's mega charge is coming to an end.
Car looks okay. Doesn't look like there's anything wrong with it. There's nothing hanging down.
But look, he's got no grunt.
Oh, maybe he's used all his fuel. I don't know.
Well, past him has come Sumter. And Tom Bradshaw comes down towards the chicane. He's bound for the pit lane, surely. Mark McAleer goes third. And yet again, a race that looks like it's Tom Bradshaw's for the taking ebbs away. The pit lane beckons. What a disaster for him.
If I was... Oh, he's come in. I was going to say, towards the end of the race, unless it's not an engine problem, that you'd try and limp round and try and get a couple of points for the championship. But what a shame. Absolutely bad luck. But great effort there from Bradshaw. Well done. Top drive.
Andy Toon, who is the second of those cars you're looking at, is a class leader. Tom Bradshaw, I'm afraid to say, looks like he's about to be a retirement. The Hartec Racing team is there ready, and the Boltonian stops the car. The mechanics have a word. So Pete Morris feels the pressure disappear once again. He's on his own. Mark Sumter second, but 3 seconds back. So all Pete Morris has to do now is just guide it to the flag.
Yeah, you can see his imaginary pillow has now re-embraced itself behind his race helmet there, and he's gone back into cruise mode again. But what a dominant weekend for him so far, after the problem that he had in race 1. But he's been very, very quick and has led for most of this weekend so far.
He's got a charmed life, hasn't he? Every time anybody gets close enough to threaten him, they have a problem. Mark McAleer, their third, he's dropped a long way back from Mark Sumter. Sumter is 3 seconds away from the leader. I don't think that's going to come down sufficiently. So as they come now into the chicane, 1 minute and 3/4 remain. That's going to be 2 more laps. So Pete Morris, if he were to have a problem, could still be caught here by Sumter. Let's just see, 3 seconds it was over the line now. Up or down that gap, 3.1 again. So nobody really benefits nor loses. Pete Morris, though, is in traffic.
Yeah, Pete Morris has got a good 3 back markers to take, which with his power of his car will be able to pass them on that little bit of straight before the Craner curve starts. And we've got this battle still continuing further back down the field. And Sumter had a slight issue there at the chicane, went over, just touched that bit of red painted area.
Richard Ellis finally has got himself past Kevin Harrison. He's had a race and a half to do that, and he's finally done it. And he's going to suddenly make a move, look there also, on Mike Johnson coming over the timing line. Johnson in the red, white and blue car on the inside, Richard Ellis on the outside. A winner here last year, Richard, the man from Selby. He's not going to get the place, though, because he's on the wrong line. So Mike Johnson hangs on for the moment to 8th place. Ellis was just about ahead when they came over the timing line, but now the place goes back the way of Johnson. Pete Morris is in traffic. He's at Coppice. Got to be careful here.
And he's actually got, I think that's Bradshaw back with him again, but he's come out the pits, so he's just giving him a run for his money. And pretty sure that is Bradshaw with the orange mirrors. Yeah, that's definitely him, and the indicators on just to say, I know I'm not with you anymore, but I'm coming in.
But look how close Sumter has got, because now as they come into the chicane, the traffic is not helping Morris. Sumter is on a charge. We're going to get 1 more lap out of this.
Brilliant.
Here they come up towards the timing line. It's Stuart Ing's boxer, in fact, that's behind them, masquerading as Tom Bradshaw's car. The leaders go by. 3.1 seconds last lap. He's now 0.6 of a second.
Okay, so from the driver's eye view, the back markers, they're having their own battle, remember, so you can't be too harsh on them, but at the same time, you're like, come on, I'm the leading pack, I want to get through. This isn't doing Mark Sumter any favours at all, but if he just stays to the left, yes, I think he's seen him, yes, and Mark can carry on the line, get back on the power again, forget the back markers, and be able to chase down the dominant Morris and try and give us a real sort of close photo finish towards the end.
But I would say that 0.6 over the line is probably double now because of the back markers.
Yes.
So Mark Sumter needs to be really brave up through McLean's. He's got to be near coming out of Coppice to make a move at the chicane, and he closes up under braking. He can't afford for the car to wash out wide, though, can he? And he's got a good run. It does go wide, but he keeps up the momentum. Yeah,
and Morris was blocking there, going on the inside line just to see if Sumter was going to do a last-minute move into Coppice there. He's just covering his line, like you said. He's going to make this car as wide as possible. But what a fantastic Porsche Club race we've seen today. Absolutely brilliant, with Bradshaw trying to give nibble at Morris's lead, and then Sumter then picking up second.
And Pete Morris is set for win number 2 of the day. Here he comes out of the chicane. Pete Morris, the man from Tamworth, powers his way to the checkered flag to win race 2 in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Porsche Club Championship, and he does so by exactly 0.6 of a second as Richard Ellis goes round the outside of Coppice of Mike Johnson and gains the place. Great move.
Brilliant move, especially on the outside of Coppice there. Johnson obviously went to overdo the move to try and block the line too much, and he's going to be under threat now. No, he's okay. He's safe there for that position at the moment. But what a fantastic move at Coppice corner.
Kevin Harrison is the man trying to attack in number 64, and right up with them is Paul Winter as well as they come over the line. So all of that means that Richard Ellis will get 8th, 9th is Mike Johnson, 10th Kevin Harrison, and 11th is Paul Winter. Behind them, crossing the line, Andy Toon with his 9.68, and he wins Class 2 for the less powerful cars. David Bottrell coming towards us just ahead of George Mateen in his 9.44. So over the line they come, and, well, Pete Morris wins by 0.6 of a second, but blimey, he's had to work hard for both races. In the first race, he was being caught, and he had the smoke caused by the oil slightly overfilled. In that race, Mark Sumter gives everything he has got to catch up on the last lap and ends up 0.6 of a second behind. But Pete Morris, well, what a great day for him. 2 wins, and he had to work hard for both of them. Makes his way down into the chicane, ready to head for the pit lane. 1.3 seconds his margin in race 1, 0.6 in that, but you've got to feel sorry for Tom Bradshaw. Had it not been for the problems, what would the result have looked like? Pete Morris wins from Mark Sumter, Mark McAleer 3rd ahead of Adrian Slater, Marcus Carneal 5th, and Craig Wilkins comes home in 6th.
Congratulations to Peter Morris, making it 2 in a row. Peter, that was a pretty exciting race.
Yeah, with these new Pirelli tyres, they came on stronger. I mean, I thought they might go off on the second race because I didn't put a brand new set on, but I kept them well honest. I started from pole and I finished. I got in front of Mark Sumter. Tom got close to me at about five laps in the end, and I managed to block for a couple of laps, and he dropped back a bit, so whether he missed a gear change or he helped me out, and then the back markers helped me out until the last lap, and they nearly cost me a race, but Mark caught me up quite quick with the back markers. But it's a great race, great weekend, and the sun's out, yeah.
I know, it's almost a miracle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tom Bradshaw, I just caught up with him actually in his Boxster, and it seemed like he had a problem with his engine, so it looked like he caught you napping a little bit, was just about to challenge and then unfortunately denied the great race to the end.
Yeah, you have to nurse these cars home. I mean, they're not like race cars. I mean, they are road production cars, so you have to back off when you can and push when you need to. So I engineered that quite well, I believe. So yeah, I'll do it again next time, hopefully.
I'm pretty impressed with those new Pirellis.
Oh yeah, I love the Pirellis. I can't wait for the wet. Really, I've tested out. I've done some winter testing, as we say, in the rain, and the wets are really good. So bring the wet on, really. That's what I say.
Do you know what? Nobody normally ever says that to me because I bring enough rain wherever I go. But there we go, the one sunny day and you want rain. Right, let's get your trophy on and let's get your laurel and your champagne, and you can go off and celebrate 2 wins down here for the PCGB Porsche Club Championship. And Peter Morris, congratulations.
And love you, Karen. That's my wife.